Hello, everyone, and welcome back to RN Info, the place where you get clear, reliable information on health topics. Today, we're talking about diverticulosis. We're going to look at the symptoms, causes, diagnosis, and management. And as usual, there are questions at the end to see how much you've retained. So let's dive right in. What is diverticulosis? Diverticulosis is a common colon condition where small pouches form along the intestinal lining. The term comes from the word divert, which points to how the path through your intestines diverges into these side pockets. Several pouches together are called diverticula, and a singular pouch is called a diverticulum. So, let's look at how this works. It develops gradually as the inner lining pushes through weak spots in the outer wall over time. As food and waste move through the intestine, pressure builds against those weak spots until they eventually give way, forming pouches. Now, this most happens often in the large intestine, particularly in the sigmoid colon. Now, let's move on to symptoms. Diverticulosis is usually asymptomatic. It happens silently with no symptoms at all. But it can become serious in rare cases, such as when the pouches become infected and the infection goes untreated. When the infection occurs, it is called diverticulitis. So, if symptoms like lower abdominal pain or fever appear, that may signal an infection. To be clear, diverticulosis itself usually has no symptoms, while diverticulitis is when there is active inflammation and disease. In people prone to constipation, stool can get trapped in the pouches, which makes symptoms worse. About 10% of people with diverticulosis experience diverticular bleeding, which happens when hard stool passing through a pouch erodes or stretches a blood vessel until it ruptures. Moving on to causes. The leading cause of diverticulosis is a diet low in plant fiber and high in processed starch, which leads to denser food waste. This is why the condition shows up more often in the sigmoid colon, where waste tends to become more solid. Now, for diagnosis. Since diverticulosis is asymptomatic, how do providers actually find it? It starts with a physical exam, assessing symptoms, palpating the abdomen, and checking vital signs. A blood test may also be done to check for infection. Imaging tests such as CT scan or barium enema can help assess the colon, and a colonoscopy or sigmoidoscopy, which is a thin camera that goes into the colon, may be used to check for pouches. For management. Most people don't actually need treatment for diverticulosis itself if there are no complications or symptoms. However, providers typically recommend adding more fiber to the diet to ease stool passage and help prevent complications down the line. Now, that brings us to the end of the main content. Let's dive into a few questions. First question. In which specific part of the large intestine does diverticulosis most frequently occur? The answer is the sigmoid colon. Second question. What distinguishes diverticulitis from diverticulosis? The answer is presence of infection in the pouches. And last question. Which dietary habit is identified as a leading cause of diverticulosis? The answer is a diet low in plant fiber and high in processed starch. Okay, that brings us to the end of the video. Let me know how many questions you got right in the comments, and if you found this helpful, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.